When you're ready, I'm ready.
Brother, wake up.
Hear the sound?
Fellow humans, we ask, can we together deliver peace and healing to heart and mind?
Ulysses reheard the words being replayed.
Okay. Now, I could not hear any of that. It was there, and that's all that really matters. Now, somehow, I'm thinking, oh, no, I am using that one over there. Now, this is quite the look here, isn't it? Quite the look. I know you probably want some of this brand accoutrement. Oh, okay, and it looks like we got the Zoom meeting from the Pirates, so we're good there. So, Sierra, are you talking? Okay. She's muted. Okay. She's muted. Yeah.
Can't you hear me?
I can hear you now. So what I want to tell the
hear
world
me?
here
Yeah.
is that, like, this hat and these glasses, you take a picture right here, and that's a whole new NFT. Whole new one.
Yeah.
Sell this look. Yeah. All right. What do you think of my new Ceox look, Sierra?
I think that it's 8:03 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and it's dark outside. So the sunglasses inside
Are you
are
saying I
dark,
don't
making
need the
less
hat?
sense.
So I don't need the hat. That's what you're saying. I don't need the hat.
The sunglasses.
Sunglasses. Okay. I don't understand this, Tim. I thought it was really clear. The hat's fine.
The hat's fine. Yeah, I think she's questioning the sunglasses. She doesn't. She's
That's
apparently
I don't
not seen.
understand.
She apparently has not seen some old '80s movies.
Okay, so that's better.
Well, not even that. I know, like, all the celebs wear them inside these days at like 2 a.m. Wow. Then you just behind the microphone really adds to all of
I
it.
kind of feel like Wilson.
That is a Wilson look for sure.
Alrighty. So the hat
Is
can
Tori back
work.
on?
What's that? What?
Is Tori back on?
I don't see that Tori's back on.
Nope, I
Tori
see.
should be back on.
I see
Tori should be back
Cheyenne.
on. I'm gonna transition back to some stuff here.
Oh,
So if I lose you for a second, I don't know.
Good
I should
audio.
come back here.
Good audio.
All right. And let's see here. Audio okay right now?
Perfect.
Good. All right. I don't know why that's doing that. That kind of needs to come back to. Wow, it's interesting. It's like it's got all these. Oh, what's happening now? I just sort of lost it. There we go. You better?
You're back.
All right. And this is kind of fun because I still do have the sound coming through the speakers. And I think maybe that'll fix that. Can you give me a sound check?
I got you good sound audio so far.
Okay. Okay. Well, that's good. More of the. Oh, there we go. All right. Now I've got that back. All right. I'm going to have to work on the profiles and give these things like naming things. I have to put like. I have to call like that camera hat cam and that one glasses cam or something. And I wish like I spent like the first half hour of the first show talking to the wrong camera. And I just noticed like this camera actually has a blue light that turns on when it's on.
Wait, is this the right
Imagine
camera?
that.
Am I talking the right camera?
I think so. I think you got it right.
Talking the right way?
You're looking
This
straight
way?
into it. Yeah. Yeah.
This way? Okay.
The camera's behind you, Sierra.
Oh, this way?
That way there. Now, at some point when I get really, really like, all right, I have nothing to do and I want to play and I want to really drive myself nuts, I still want to try to figure out how to bring the security cameras in that I have in the shed onto here, because then I could actually just set up like 12 different cameras as an input.
Of course.
And why?
Because we can.
Or we'll try to, or we'll have some fun with it, or I'll just have to get a new security camera that is more up to date. That one's very old. I'm not certain that I'll be able to connect to the
3-pack of Mevos.
All right. So we've got Ceox, and welcome to Ceox. And each week we kind of talk about what we call currency games or economic games, which is really just kind of look at what's going on in the world, and from fiat currency all the way to Bitcoin, and things like tonight. This is kind of a fun one because I did put this out there actually on Facebook for those who may have seen it. Twitter is now allowing people to be tipped in Bitcoin, so you can actually be paid through Twitter with Bitcoin, and that's cool. That's really super cool. But then I made the point to say, now you need to know that Bitcoin is highly traceable, so you might want to look through the pirate route. And what we mean by pirate and Monero, and we'll be talking with some pirates later on, but pirate coin is an anonymous coin. Ooh, like you could get paid and nobody knows how you got paid, and you can pay somebody and nobody knows you paid them. I mean, talk about anonymity. I mean, should that be allowed? Well, I don't know. There's all sorts of games that go on. So we create characters that get put on boards, and we assign them random numbers that are meaningless and then suddenly become meaningful for something. We've got these HR ranks, and we have Nefarians and these fake characters that'll be thrown into these games, and randomly you'll just earn some UDCs for doing something. And other times you'll earn UDCs for doing no. I don't think we should ever pay for doing nothing, but we can talk through that. And we actually have a what was the role that I suggested for you, Sierra? Did we had I came up with a name?
I forgot.
You forgot. That's okay. Good thing is we can kind of jump over here and see. Okay, okay, trustee.
Kind of tying it back to the being paid in Bitcoin. Did you see? I read somewhere that the NFL has prohibited players from being paid in Bitcoin, which is different because there is a player who I think it's Russell Okung. He wanted his entire signing bonus or something like that in Bitcoin, and so he was one of the first players to do it. So I wonder, what happened with that, if they had to. I don't know.
I'm going to think, since the NFL is a highly political organization, that there was some pushback that, Bitcoin may not be the one that you want to be supporting. Now, do I know that? No. But I do know that there's a lot of political games going on with like Cardano and Ethereum, and there's the favorite ones out there right now, and you might want Doge. I mean, who knows? Maybe Mark Cuban's going to pay the NFL to promote. So, like the NFL doesn't promote anything free, right? It's like they get paid for anything that they get talked about. So if Bitcoin's going to be talked about, the NFL wants its piece. Can't blame them. Right, it's marketing dollars. It's their brand getting up for sale, but interesting nonetheless. I don't know how. I mean, it's very interesting that basically the league created a rule that dictates the contractual
currency in which someone gets paid.
Right. Yeah, that's an interesting rule, right? Like, so why in the NFL? Like, let's kind of talk through this. Like, why in the NFL might they say, what currency do you want to get paid
in?
Well,
obviously you have owners that some are very rich, and you're right, they want, it's maybe something they don't understand or something they know to be regulated in some capacity, or will be regulated, or isn't regulated. Maybe, yeah, I don't know.
No, I think that yes on all of those, right? I mean, yep, they're going to want to get their piece. They're going to want to get their piece of the action, and somehow they're probably looking at blockchain or Bitcoin as like you're wearing a Nike sneaker, or you're you're doing something like that, so they should be paid for it. You're like, well, it doesn't exactly work that way, because you've never gotten paid before for promoting the U.S. currency, right? Like, that's not the case. This is just currency. But they certainly can. I mean, Elon Musk he's out there promoting Doge. There's a lot of people promoting Doge. The difference is it's like they don't necessarily get paid for it unless they own it, and it increases in value. So certainly the owners may, some may have holdings in different in different cryptos. They may have none, right? Maybe they don't want to see the US dollar kind of be impacted on these things. But yeah, no, I think that that's a very interesting note. And what have you seen? Have you seen anybody online talking about that fact?
No, not much. I saw it a while ago. I just forgot to bring it up.
Oh, yeah, that's an interesting one. We should kind of look into that a little bit more.
Yeah.
Why? No. And we're going to call them the Niffle League, because we can't, it's like, I think if you start to use any of their terminology, like the big cup that happens at the end of the year, not the Stanley Cup, but the one that's actually supersized, and they actually refer to it as a calendar, right? Like, if you actually use the terms super and then that other word next to it that could sound something like mole, if you use super mole together, they'll sue you.
So
It's
maybe
weird.
a pooper bowl?
Yeah, so we're going to have the Niffle League, right? So Niffle, Niffle. We've got the Niffle League Pooper Bowl. Okay? And this league is sponsored by, because of what it is, Mally.
Okay.
Why Mally? Because that dog, like, that dog is the cutest little dog. It's like the heaviest little weight that will ever be, but it just like eats everything, poops everything, eats the poop to eat everything. It's like, it's the Niffle League. So we've got the Niffle League for tonight. All right. So let's talk about a TV board, Sierra. All right, we're going to build a TV board. And this is going to be for your segment on Ceox. So we're going to call it the Ceox. No, we're going to call it the Sierra Ceox TV board. What's the objective of your board? Okay, by the way, just in case did I mention I did find that the role was going to be trustee, and then I think I changed it to some other sort of trust other than just trustee.
That's right. Yeah, that's what you said.
Yeah, I think it was like general trustee, because I wanted to bring in like the general manager side. So your general trustee of what will be a league, of a Niffle League, and we can change all of these names, obviously. And so you'd be responsible and compensated for overseeing game objectives, adding fun, and directing toward board profitability. Now, that's kind of an interesting thing. So board profitability sounds to me like you have to actually be given something to make a profit from. So let's start with this. As the general trustee of the Niffle League, and you are trying to create the Pooper Bowl, how many UDCs do you think you need to begin with? And so then we can measure profitability, because you're going to get more UDCs back. So we'll be able to measure profitability by the transactions back through the league. So what's the objective of our league? Let's start there. We have
to win the Pooper Bowl?
To win the Pooper Bowl. In the Niffle League. So we're going to need a few different teams. So we're going to need a few teams, right? Because it's a league. So we need some teams. So our board is going to have some teams on it, and you're going to be the general trustee, so you're going to be able to kind of work with the team. So you're going to have to help build teams and bring teams on, right? But you're going to need to kind of get people to be team captains, right? So you're going to need some team captains, and they're going to have to build some teams. And what are those teams actually going to do?
They are going to. It can be anything. Can you write a book how to be interesting?
Ooh,
I'm gonna
perfect.
figure out what they need to do. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's exactly it, right?
I'm gonna open up to a random page.
Okay, this is perfect.
All right.
This is not only how you build high quality content, this is how you ensure success in a game. Oh, by the way, one of the things we have to make sure is that the audience wins, or that the team wins at least 51% of the time. Now, that's an interesting thing. We'll get into that, some game theory later on. But what do we have that is interesting?
Wow, this is crazy. Okay.
Make a mess.
Make a mess. Okay. Make a mess. So we want to.
ironically fitting.
I appoint Tori as a team captain.
I think she just succeeded. Tori is
And
a team.
ironically, I'll assign Lauren as a team captain.
What? Lauren to make a mess? I don't know if
Yep.
Lauren can make a mess.
And
Okay.
then
So now let's talk through
how
this.
many
So like,
games? Yeah.
well, I think we can figure out like how many's in a league. We could 9 to 12 seems to be this kind of number we've been playing with lately. So I kind of think like an active board is at least like 9. 9. We need a good term for what a board spot is, right? I mean, in this case, the board's going to be the teams and the team captains, but so those spots are going to be active at some sort of time. Like you're going to actually have some interactions to make sure that they're active. And we can figure through that, but I think 9 is good. I think up to 12, so you can kind of have a little practice team, practice league, and they're kind of competing maybe to be in the top 9 internally, and then we can do some sort of a playoff from there. But yeah, like when we talk about making a mess, like we need to be, we don't want anybody getting hurt here. So what kind of mess are we talking about?
I think it can be anything. I think it can be leaving clothes on the floor. It can be going to one of those. There's like these places that are opening up everywhere, and it's called like these smash rooms, where you get like bats and stuff, and you like just break stuff. It could be jumping in a pile of leaves and not raking it back up, or
okay,
I don't know,
jumping
like
in
that.
leaves, like a big, huge.
And it can be a figurative mess. I can make a mess of.
Yeah, just let's say no hurting, like no hurting people, no putting yourself at risk, no physical like so we'll put some of the rules. We're gonna put together some rules like no hurting, only only laughing kind of thing, like laughing, playing. We want to
walk by a
encourage
salt shaker and tip it over.
There you go. Yeah. Right, walk by salt. Yeah, okay. Tip over salt. I've got like this a gnocchi flour fight in the kitchen, right? I mean, so we can kind of share some of those stories.
Maybe putting like oil all over the floors in the house and then sliding on them.
There you go. See, now this is kind of fun because now what we just did, like let's say we take the oil idea and that oil story, well told or well demonstrated somehow, recreated, however you'd want to do it, could then also be stored into a generation keeper, right? So if that's just one of those stories that gets took out, again, so we can actually apply additional point value when it can apply across multiple boards.
In multiple, yeah.
Okay. So we can kind of have some fun with that. But I like the idea of making a mess. So we now have Sierra as the general trustee of the Niffle League, and they are going to they are competing to go to the Pooper Bowl by making a mess. So the Pooper Bowl obviously would seem to be, let's say, 2 people, like it kind of just like the get down to 2, but you could make it 3 but somehow. So what's the pooper bowl look like in your mind?
The pooper bowl is 2 teams head to head making the biggest messes possible, and I'm the judge of who made the biggest mess.
Okay.
Literally and figuratively. Literally and figuratively.
2 teams. Sierra's job. So how about this, Sierra? Not only how about like let's kind of like pull some other judges in. Like let's pull a judge panel in from maybe the number 3 and the 4 team. Right.
Okay.
So like or maybe all the teams, could appoint a judge, and we just have to make sure there's an odd number or something like that, or 3 or 4. So all right. So judges come from. I gotta write this down here so I don't forget it. Judges from other team. All right. Now here's what I think would be really fun for the Niffle League Pooper Bowl. I think it should be sort of done live. Like I think somehow you kind of make this one where, or I don't know if that means that like the team gets together and does something live and live streams it, and then the other one does it, or if you just reveal those live, or if we actually try to get in person and film some of these things live. I think it'd be kind of fun, but we have to kind of think about like how does the Niffle Bowl get played?
Probably at a Smash room. I don't know.
Okay. Yeah. Or okay. So we'll think about the Niffle Bowl, and let's see if we're looking at maybe 9 to 12, teams or something like that, and we're not trying to create something that goes on for ever and a day. I'm thinking would like to have something that maybe we give updates on a weekly basis, and we share some of the mess making videos. We share some of those things on this episode. And so how long? I mean, I don't know. We can kind of figure it out. I'm thinking probably like 12 weeks. We should be able to whittle down to 2 people.
12 weeks?
Yeah, something like that.
I don't know.
Like maybe we have
people. Yeah.
Well, yeah, maybe we'll I mean, look, the first thing we have to do is get the 12. The first thing you have to do is put the people on the board. You can't start the game. You can't start the league until you've got the people on the board.
The time length would depend on how many people are there.
Okay. So now maybe what we do is we invite some of the players to join in the rule making.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Okay.
So now we have a very general outline of a game that can actually be kind of fun. Right? It's kind of like
that'd be fun.
Yeah, it's kind of like a very just social game, and we can put some like money to it, and then we have to figure out a way of maybe some of these videos basically become NFTs. They can resell. The teams can resell the NFT. The league gets to keep some of them. So everybody sort of shares in the transaction there, just like the NFL trying to get their piece of the blockchain, if that's what's going on. That we would kind of say, okay, so here is a bowl of a bowl of currency, and our goal by the time of the Niffle Bowl is to triple the currency or something, right? And that would be through, and people could just be selling. We could just turn these things into NFTs and sell them. Now I'll have to do a little researching into how much business there is on the BSV blockchain as far as NFTs, but we can look into some fun stuff like that. And that way, this will just give people an introduction to blockchain, and you can earn some money. I mean, Phil Coleman, if you remember, he was on early on. He's really getting some nice returns on his NFTs right now. So I just think we make this a fun game. We have the Pooper Bowl, and and we'll figure out what that looks like. We're probably a few weeks out again before I'm at the point where we'll put the coins in place, and we got to come up with some of these other names. But over the next couple of weeks, we'll just keep pulling in the game itself. The game objective will make it a little bit more clear. But maybe you can invite Lauren into the conversation one Thursday night. We can talk about players. We'll get Tori involved in the conversation. We'll see. Okay, so we see that Cheyenne is still listening. We'll see if Cheyenne has any thoughts on this game. And we'll see if she comes off of mute. But yeah, we can just pull some people in on that side.
I think it's a cute game. It's interesting.
Okay.
You hate the oil idea.
I do hate the oil idea because I lived through that.
It's just one of those things that happened, and we don't want to forget it. The hardwood floors are well oiled. All right, so we now have Sierra and Cheyenne on mute, and we've got the Make a Mess team, and we'll go from there. And now we're coming into the big conversations, and this is the get back up conversation. And so Sierra, we're going to talk about getting back up. We're going to lead this off with Zach Moss. So you want to kind of give the Zach Moss story here?
Sure. Okay, well, Zach Moss is in his second year in the league, was drafted in the 3rd round, played at the University of Utah. Go Utes, right? Go Utes. But anyway, so like last year he was starting to really come into his own, where a lot of people thought that this guy was probably going to take over as like the number 1 running back for the Buffalo Bills. But during that playoff game against Indianapolis, he broke something. I want to say his ankle, I think. So he ended up having to rehab the entire summer, and then basically the first game of the season he was a healthy scratch. He didn't play. Sean McDermott didn't really give a reason why. They said his injury was taken into consideration, but he was healthy, so he was, for all intents and purposes, a healthy scratch. Last weekend he played in the game, and I think it was his second touch of the game. He fumbled, and everyone was like, what the heck, Zach Moss? Like, you had just had this like really cool run, like where you're tumbling over people, and usually when that happens, like Sean McDermott's gonna sit you down, like you don't get to see the field again for quite some time. Comes back in the game, ends up scoring. They're pretty short, like goal line yardage situations, but that's what he's meant to do, is like these short yardage situations. Rumbles in for like a really awesome touchdown where he just like annihilates this guy, this Dolphin. And yeah, so he ends up getting 2 touchdowns, and at the end of the game we find out that he had just gone to his aunt's funeral the day prior to the game. So he really was able to persevere through all of that trials and tribulations.
Yeah, and I think he shared a tweet right after the game. I think they kind of mentioned that he's like, exactly like
Yeah.
I had to bury my mom last night. Fumbled, came back with 2 touchdowns, and then he said something like it's not how many times you fall, it's how many times you get back up, or whatever it was that he said. But the idea was it's how you respond to that adversity. And I think that's like, there's a lot to take from that. And, I want to bring in Josh Allen now into the conversation. We've had a little bit of conversation about Josh, and a lot of people are wondering, like, all right, we've got like, the world's richest Buffalonian. Okay, not quite, but, we got it. He's got the big contract. He's expecting to do great things. And, the first game.
He's the second highest paid player in the NFL.
So, okay, which makes him probably like, somewhere up there in Buffalo anyways. So I mean, but
maybe second to Terry Pagula.
Yeah, there's some other money there too, but yeah.
No.
Anyways, like I mean, yeah, the guy's paid to win, to do really, really well. And the first game of the year wasn't looking too good, but honestly, the more that you look at it, the Pittsburgh game really looks like the Bills were outcoached. When it comes right down to it, the Bills were, it looks like the Steelers were really well coached on defense. I think that they gave Josh some looks that he wasn't like used to seeing. And, and not for anything, Pittsburgh has a really strong front line. And our offensive line.
In the same way that punt block the defensive line had their way with the offensive line, but there were plays to be made, and no doubt there's a play to Emmanuel Sanders where he is running down the seam and Josh overthrows him. And I think if he had hit that's almost as big of a miss as that punt block is.
So
that
I
game.
actually read something about that was talking about how Josh and Emmanuel Sanders just haven't found each other's rhythm. And that's where I first came up with that I was suggesting tonight was that, and apparently it just takes something. They haven't found their game rhythm together. And the article I read didn't put it on.
That's fine. Like, that's fine. I just think he overthrew him by quite a bit.
Maybe. I mean, we saw this week that there was another time that he was expecting him. I want to say he was expecting him to go straight in the end zone, and Sanders cut in. There was another thing. There's some. They're just not quite on the same page, and that's okay. I mean, Diggs played there all last year. Sanders is definitely. I mean, he's a number one starting receiver in on some teams right now. I mean, he's definitely a great receiver, and they'll figure that out. But one of the things I saw this week, and I thought was very interesting, that apparently Josh somehow has acknowledged or was picked up through whoever, is that Josh has a hard time letting go of the last play. Is that like if Josh has a bad play, apparently it takes him a bit to get beyond that bad play. And that was something that this article is talking about, that the top performing athletes are actually able to just get beyond the defeat instantly. Right. So that particularly in the NFL, because it's really only about winning 5 or 6, 7 plays in the NFL. Right. Like it's about winning those 5 or 6 or 7 that are important, and they put the points on the board, and the rest of the game is like, hey, let's just keep it in, keep it in the middle of the field, keep it in the trenches. So it's interesting to see that, like, Buffalo comes in 35-0. You can't take anything away from the Bills, and yet everybody's still taking away from the Bills. And like, the offense didn't play well. Well, they didn't play great. 35 points. And there's something to be said about that. Now, I will say I read an article that said the Bills did not play well. They should have put 60 on the board. Like, okay.
Yeah.
Right. That's kind of like, yeah, because the defense is that good, right? That they could have just kind of, and that it could have just looked like
the defense put them in really good positions.
Time and again they did. Yep. So it's interesting. So the Bills kind of take a little bit of a walloping the first week, and everyone's like, okay, look in the wounds. They go back and they beat the Dolphins. They don't just beat them; they beat them. They beat the Dolphins 0. Like, it's not easy to shut out a team in the NFL 0, right? So they
have the Dolphins number right now. Sean McDermott has their number. They cannot beat a Sean McDermott team.
Yeah, and then they come down and they lose the starting quarterback. So okay, right? And it's one of those interesting things though, because like, all right, what's that?
I said Tua's not very good.
No, he really doesn't look that great.
He's not very good.
But we have this thing this week where, like, okay, so now, right, it's not like the Bills got knocked down, but they weren't really their top thing. So what do you say now? Like, here we are, we're saying you get back up, they won, but nobody really wants to give them the win. It's like they're not down.
I think there's such high expectations right now. I think there's such high expectations for this team, and especially the second you get paid in this league, like, there is an expectation that you live up to what that contract is. And Josh Allen is playing worse than his 2019 year in the league right now. He's like slightly above what his rookie year was, which is not good. And I mean, it's good that they're able to win a game like 35-0, but it is not sustainable. The way that they won that game last week is just not sustainable. In the same way the Steelers won the game, like, that's just not a sustainable model. Offense is what wins games in the league. You cannot like thrive off of and turnover opportunistic defense. So what the Bills
for years, defense wins championships. Right, that was the mantra for many, many years. Defense wins.
Right, but that's not the case. The reason the Tampa Bay Buccaneers were able to get to Patrick Mahomes in the Super Bowl was because almost their entire offensive line was injured during that game. So it's just not the case, in my opinion. anymore. Like it helps when you get to the playoffs, but if you have a very good quarterback, I mean, look at Tom Brady. The Bills had all these great defenses during this 20-year drought, and Tom Brady would just walk in and be like, boop, 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 boop. Okay, see you later. Boop, 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 boop. Okay, see you later. Like,
I don't know that you can have a great defense without a great offense, right? And I mean like that. I know that statistically you can have a great offense and a horrible defense, or a great defense and a horrible offense, but I don't think you can be your greatest when your other part of your team is its least. Right? I think that somewhere. So
yeah,
right.
Yeah.
So that's a.
I agree, but I'm just saying, like, you can win the Super Bowl with like a mediocre defense and like a really great offense, but it's hard to win it with like a mediocre offense and a really great defense, if that makes sense. Anyways, so what like now needs to happen is everything is like so mental for Josh Allen. Like, I think there was a lot of concerns going into this season, like, oh, there's fans back in the stands. Like, how do you think Josh is going to react to
Yes,
this?
that's a
Because he
great.
gets
That's a
so
really great
juiced.
point. Yes. So I mean, Josh Allen is Josh Allen because the way he plays is the way we love him. And I know a lot of people want to see him settle in the pocket and be a Tom Brady, but he's never going to be that. I mean, he
I
is
don't
going to
want him to
be.
settle in the pocket. I like when he runs out, but he's just like, the thing is he's making the right decisions during the game, but everything in his head right now is like leading him to throw the ball like, so it's the difference between like fluttering the ball with a touch pass and just like rifling it in somewhere. And there is like 3 throws last week that just epitomize it. That like,
So are you
if
saying?
he
So
had just
is he throwing
adjusted,
hard again? Is he
no,
throwing too
he's
hard?
like not. He's
Okay.
not. He's not.
Okay.
That's what's confusing, is because like the way he's throwing it is allowing the defense the opportunity to make, because like if you just like rifle it in there, those guys, not many people like to like want to catch a pass like that, you know?
Yeah,
So
and yeah, including
I don't know. It's
the
interesting.
receivers.
But he
Yeah.
said, yeah, they say all the time, they're like, it's crazy, that ball like fires into your hand. So, but I'm right now on a scale of like 1 to 10. My worry level is about a 6 right now. But I think like he's making the right decisions. It's just like when you can't get out of that mental space, like when do you get over that? Like, how long is that going to take? Because I've been saying this, like, you never want to take an off season, like, consider it, but this is now 4 games in a row that Josh Allen has not looked good dating
So
back to the playoffs.
yeah, so it's an interesting thing. I mean, I seem to recall last year that he didn't start the season very well, and that he found a rhythm a little bit further. And I think that was even early on in the season last
Yeah,
year. A lot of
yeah.
people were questioning whether we should be, getting rid of Dayball, and then that came into play. So I think that there's something about the rhythm that is off. I don't know why it shouldn't be, because most of that offense is returning. I mean, it's like there shouldn't be a problem with the rhythm.
Yeah,
There
that's
does
what's
seem
so
to be a little bit
confusing.
off with the timing, and I think that you might be really hitting on something with the fans being in the stands, right? I mean, I've heard from we watched all the different things about Josh, and one of the things that one of the players talked about is that Josh is just a big kid. And he just likes to have a good
Yeah.
time. He likes to play, and even one of them seemed to insinuate that maybe every now and then he's got to kind of, all right, I'm good, I get it, you're still young, have fun, I'm walking away. I could see that the enthusiasm that Josh gets, the excitement that Josh gets, and that kind of childish excitement, that hyperness that we see and we love in Josh, but maybe is just a little bit more amplified because the stadium is a little bit more electric, and maybe that did help a little bit down in Miami to just kind of play in front of an almost home team, but in somebody else's stadium. But there were so many Bills fans there that maybe this week what we'll see is Josh coming in tune with the fan base, right? With the noise, with the energy level. I mean,
Well,
Josh
he
can
even said it this
Josh can
week.
step
He
up.
said
He can step up, and he will.
yeah, but he even said this week that like the great, not even just good, the great quarterbacks are the ones that are able to just block. Like, that's what makes Tom Brady so good. And I hate Tom Brady, like, as a player. I'm sure he's a great guy. I love the Subway commercials. I love all the commercials, but like, he could have like a 3-interception day, and guess what? If his team needs him to march down the field at the end of the game, he's gonna go do it. Like,
right.
and I think that's what
Josh has to get out of his own head. It's almost like he just needs to start trusting his
that, like,
skill
last
again.
year he had such a good game. He had such a good season that you would just think that he'd be like, yeah, I'm pretty confident. But they're also, defenses play them a lot different. So, like,
yeah, he is going to be played different this year.
2.5 years. Yeah, a lot of these defense, like, if you remember, people always would say, like, you don't want to blitz Brady, or like you don't want to blitz Mahomes, because like that means that you just have one-on-one coverage with his people downfield, and like they're going to find it. And that's exactly what Josh Allen does. He's very good against like these, if you send more, like,
and that's where Pittsburgh played with him. That's where Pittsburgh got in his head, because they didn't send the blitz, but they made it look like it on occasion. And they moved some safeties around. They moved people around to make it look like they were sending pressure. Then they didn't, and Josh kind of did his normal read, and they knew what his normal reads look like. So I think you're exactly right that, you know, the team, the NFL is learning how to play Josh, and that's good, right? Now Josh needs to learn how to play the NFL.
He has to adjust. Like, he has got to figure that, like, I'm hoping this is just like a 2-game slump, and then they come out. This is not a good opponent this week either, because our offensive line is not good, and this defensive line is on par with Pittsburgh. So
okay,
I am not looking forward to that either. So
I think the offensive line did a better job last week. I think the offensive line got beat on the first week. I think that Pittsburgh did beat them, and I think that kind of got them a little bit shell-shocked, but they did play well last week. The offensive line played well.
They played okay, but they were okay. I wouldn't say they were exponentially better. They weren't even playing like a very good defensive line. So, like,
well, I was just about to say, you can't.
Like, Brian Dable needs to, like, figure it out, you know?
Yeah, so it's and they are, right. It's tough to say that they're not, because they did get that win, and getting a win in the NFL any week is something, right? That's the whole idea, that this is each week a win is something.
Yeah, I'd rather be arguing over the fact that they won 35-0 and Josh Allen looks bad than losing by 35 and Josh Allen looks bad. So
yeah, and I do.
He always says, though, he's like, I'm gonna do whatever my team needs me to do to win. He's like not very statistic, and that's also to his detriment sometimes. Is that, like, he does too much sometimes. So
and that was what we saw the first year he had to learn, and he did. Right, it's like he said the first year he's trying to do everything to win the play, and I think that is like, yeah, he's going to come out. He is a competitor. It's, you know, he can't just leave his competitive nature at the door, and we don't want him to. We want him to bring his competitive nature each and every week, and, you know, and get back up as quick as possible. So yeah, I don't know. I don't have the, like you say.
So I'm hoping this week is the week we see it again.
Yeah, you say a 6 out of 10. You're worried
right now, and then if it,
I'm not worried at all.
So we play the Washington football team. If he does not look good against the Texans, I'm gonna be in panic mode, I think.
Okay, and here's my thing. It's like, first off, it's just a game, and that's the thing we have to keep in mind. This is just a game.
I know. Like, that's, well, I'm not, like, losing sleep over it. I'm just saying, as a football fan of a team that just gave their quarterback a contract that they are tied to him for at least 5 more years, like, and he's not good, which I'm sure he's going to be fine. At this point, it just seems very mental. But like I said, if we get to Houston and by the end of that game, we're like what the heck? And I know Justin calls me a bad fan. I just, like,
it's not a bad fan. I think what this is sort of where the fans need to get back up quick too, right? It's like, in the same way we want Josh to forget about that last play and be more like Brady. It's like, oh, I just had 3 interceptions. I've done nothing all day. Oh, we need to put up 21 points in the next 2.5 minutes. I'll do that. Right.
Yeah,
like,
I'll go
in the
do it,
same,
yeah.
I'll go do that because he believes he can, because, like, everybody's told him for ages, you can, and he did. And it's like, so in the same way, we've got to, like, get past and just allow that pass to go and not hold on to it. You can go watch film on Monday or Tuesday and you can learn from it, but that's all you can do is learn from it. You can't let it weigh you down in any way emotionally, right? Because our minds are our minds. I just lost the word I was looking for. But our minds are attached to our emotions, and when we have certain thoughts, certain emotions come back, and then we have to battle. And a lot of our battle is actually with our emotions, not our minds. And we can be very logical. If we remove, we were just Spock, right? If on the Star Trek, there, like it's just all logic, there would be no, oh, I failed the last play, because it would simply be, I'm not trying to win every play. I'm trying to win 7 plays. So I wouldn't be tied to any one play. I wouldn't be tied to what happened in that last play. I think as fans, we need to be the same way, right? That's kind of the thing. Like, we are the 12th man. I mean, I know they say it and we know it and we believe it, but there's something about the home team advantage. And that home team advantage means we have to become championship fans in the same way that our team needs to become championship team, right? So we have to get over that, not hold on to any emotional baggage, because it's just a professional game, right? To the point. People are getting paid really, really well to do it.
Well, yeah, I think people just like, they're people, I mean, yeah, I mean, it's entertainment for us. So if this is something that allows people to like just get away from the life stresses and stuff, and this is something that like people hold on to, I think it's fair that they have an opinion, and
Oh yeah, no,
mostly because the
I
reason the fans exist or the reason these teams exist.
absolutely, and all the fans should have opinions. What I'm saying is we need to be really cautious, like you're saying, getting worried and concerned. The professional, the Tom Brady, he's not worried or concerned about the next play because of the last play.
In the
Right?
end, the NFL is a what have you done for me lately league. What have you done for me lately? So if people like, it is very nice that the Bills made it to the AFC Championship game, but what matters is championships. That's the name of the game, is people want to win championships. And that's
I
what the
think
fans want. It takes a lot. Like, I think that city would take a lot of pride in having a team finally win a championship, like, for the city. So, I mean, and you can, I mean, we're talking about Tom Brady. 2 years ago, in Tom Brady's last year, Patriots fans who have seen like 13,000 Super Bowls in their lifetime were booing the Patriots halftime of the regular season game because they were down like 6 points to like the Kansas City Chiefs.
Hey, not for anything. That's exactly why the Bills Mafia should not act like the Patriots fans. Yeah, and I'm not even getting to that. Like, booing any of our players is wrong. What's that?
I just think Bills fans in general like are a more educated bunch of like fans, just because.
You mean like
I don't
football?
know. I mean, Dallas Cowboys, just in general with football. Yeah, I think there's just a lot of like educated fans. So I think,
Yeah, no,
and they just
football it's a deep
they just
story.
want
Like
to see a championship.
Yeah, I think Buffalo is probably a little bit like, let's say Green Bay, in that the game runs deep. The game runs deep in the town, and it's football and chicken wings, right? I mean, it doesn't get much more football than, except for maybe a Green Bay. I know there's a few other cities, but really, there's not many cities that are like Buffalo, not many that are like there. And it is interesting that the team kind of does reflect, for all those years that we didn't win anything, it's like, you just kind of don't, it stinks. It's like, you can't be, you just feel like you can't win. You can't, like, you want to win, but we're winning. And I think that's kind of the fun thing, is that, we're going to go on to winning.
The Super Bowl. But in the end, it's all just entertainment. But you know what? This is like stuff people do in their free time. So if this is something they have an interest in, then I think it's fair that they have an opinion too.
I'm simply saying, and you can quote me on this. You can come back. It's live. we're not saving this to blockchain yet. Maybe we should. Maybe we should make sure that this goes. Mark me down. Jim Kelly said that Josh Allen will break all of his records, and I am saying I am in full agreement with Jim Kelly. And not only will the Bills go to 4 Super Bowls, they will go to 5, and they will win. I don't know if they'll win all 5. Like, hey, look, they might just win one and good enough, but I think we're looking at winning at least a few of those 5, and we've got a lot of really good years ahead of us. And it's certainly more fun to be like standing up in like, okay, we're back in the fight. We're getting back in this week. And who are we playing this week?
The Washington football team.
The Washington football team, which they should just be beaten because they have a boring name now. That's all there is. Like, I'm sorry, you
The
can't.
WFTs.
Yeah, you can't the WFTs. It's the like, okay, horrible name. Right, it really is. I think ever since that they got this whole name change thing, I'm like, I don't even know if they don't sound like they should be in the league. I mean, can't you just like, why can't they just be like the Washington Capitalists? I don't know. Like, everybody could hate them for being not the Capitalists.
I think they're coming down. Yeah,
the Washington Politicists.
Just to bring it all back, Patrick Mahomes won MVP in 2018. The Chiefs lost the Super Bowl that year. The following season, his statistics, like statistically, he regressed, and they won the Super Bowl that year. So,
yeah, and
I don't know how great of an example that is because he missed like 2 games, but still, we'll just go.
I think it's a fair example, and I've actually heard that a few times, and I think you're hitting on why. I think that when you have somebody like a Josh Allen that, a lot of people were questioning, is he going to go anywhere? He comes out, he really has a great year, in part, because the NFL wasn't really preparing for him. Now they are, right? So his statistics are going to go down. So it's not about his statistics anymore, at least for a couple years. It's about the team's results, and that's what it really matters about. Because that's like, what's that?
But they need to win.
Well, that's the winning thing, right? That's it. That's what I'm saying. As long as the team wins, that's the statistic that matters most. Because
no one's going to care if he throws 30 interceptions if they win the Super Bowl. So
exactly right. It's like all he has to do is just jump over the pile like he did in Dallas and get a first down, and that's the Josh we need. Again, you're only trying to win 5, 6, 7 plays in every game. You're going to those key plays, and that's what he's there for. And we're Super Bowl bound, winning 5. You heard it here first on Ceox. Mark this night and tell Justin put a wager on it. NFT this thing. Wager it. I don't know. What are the chances of us?
Hey, did you see that there was a guy I think through like MGM in Las Vegas put this like 16 team parlay together last weekend, and he paid like $25 for it, and the payout would end up being like $725,000.
Wow.
He got 15 games correct, and all he needed was the Lions to win the other night. No, the Lions didn't win.
How would you?
But even if he had bet the Packers, it still would have been out. It still would have been like a $300,000 payout.
Wow. How do you pick the Packers? How do you pick the Lions? I mean,
I don't even. I mean, I'm sure this guy was like, yeah, whatever, like, because I think he probably went with like some underdogs and stuff.
Oh, I see. Right. He just kind of picked some random stuff and got it.
Yeah.
I'm thinking like, if you're serious, if you're serious, I don't know that. I mean, but the Packers are going to have some troubles this year, it looks like, and I just don't quite get what Aaron Rodgers is doing. It's kind of weird.
He's going to be fine. They were fine the other night. That's what I need Josh Allen to just be like, oh, we only put up 3 points. Oh, okay, let me go throw for 4 touchdowns, 300 yards the next game.
400 yards would be good. Alrighty, so we are going to end our Ceox segment and go over and join the Pirates. So excellent night, Miss General Trustee of the Niffle League. and we will put together the pooper bowl. Make it very messy. Make the pooper
Pooper
bowl
bowl.
very, very messy. Which I don't know. We could change any of those names, anything that we want, but right now we've got that done. And Bills by 17.
Wow, I hope so. I don't know. I'm nervous about this defensive line.
Make that
They got some.
Bills
They
by
got some good
27.
guys. I think most their defensive. Okay,
I was just gonna
I'll
go
go Bills by
10.
17.
that's okay.
I'm going Bills by 17.
By 10.
Tim's got 10.
The Bills do have the best point differential in the NFL. So,
After last week, it would make some sense. All righty.
yeah, that makes sense.
All right, honey.
Okay, I'll talk
Thank
to you
you.
guys
Talk to
later.
you later.
All right, good night.
Good night.
Bye.
All right. So are we just going to join into Zoom?
Yeah, so we'll go ahead and I'm gonna go ahead and cycle through and get through our changeover, and we'll continue from there.
All right. Just
So-
all right. So yeah, you're just gonna put the Zoom out. So I'm just gonna meet you over Zoom.
Yep. All right,
Yep,
we'll
okay.
be back. We'll be back. Watch on Udicci.TV.